Hello there everyone, and welcome back to yet another beautiful video. I just got back from vacation, and as when you go on vacation, time passes. I have a few pieces here today that either a button came off or a shirt with a hole in it became a shirt with a much larger hole in it, and I'm gonna fix those up today while speaking about some artist philosophy. My past few videos have become much more scripted, which I'm very happy with, to say the least. However, I am confronted with an issue I've never had before, which is I have a lot of ideas right now, and I don't know what to do next. So instead, you guys can watch me mend some clothing and just gloss over a few points on art within the digital age, and everything that sort of encompasses that. I want to just ramble, basically, and you can choose if you want to listen to me or not. Maybe you want to play this in the background of something. But yeah, that's sort of the goal for today. Enjoy. I should have known that wouldn't work. So my little microphone is going to be set here. I'm going to assume you can still hear me. I'm starting off by fixing a buttonhole on one of my favorite blazers I've ever had, funny enough, despite me having blazers that I maybe, despite me having some pieces where maybe I've appreciated the silhouette a bit more, this has to be just the most ease of use, just the best blazer all around for just wearing. This is off to like as messy of a start as it could have been, and I already don't know where one of the buttons is. Yeah, this by far is just one of my favorite blazers to wear over any others. It's, you know, sometimes stuff looks really damn good, and I will say the blazers that fall under that category, you know, you have Carol Christian Poel, you have even Boris Bajan Sabiri. They are not comfortable. They really aren't. There's so many pieces, and I fall under this trap too. I make clothing that's uncomfortable. I do it on purpose. However, these people are selling it for money and it's uncomfortable. And I guess that's a whole philosophy I could go into. That was not the goal for today. I outlined some things here. Online art. What even is success in online art? My entire life, besides, you know, studying a lot of art history, a lot of fashion history, that's all secondhand experience, even if it's firsthand recollections of an experience. For me, it's still a secondhand experience. So even though I can dream of the art expos of the past and the galleries that were held and all the different sort of mentorships and all of that was in the past of art, I can dream about it, but that's not the reality I'm in. I am in a digital age, and I am making art that is posted onto a digital age that I not only don't know how long its digital presence will even stay there, but I am at the whims of an algorithm who I would say is not kind to avant-garde artists. And not avant-garde in the sense you see on Grailed or even, you know, fashion influencers, where you're more just talking about, you know, black clothing that has a more Japanese silhouette or a bit of exaggeration. I'm talking about stuff that contradicts the norm in such a way that it pushes different messages that aren't standardized within a society. And I already said society, which is not a good start to this, but I feel that is definitely one of the caveats of the art world that I'm put into. It is significantly different from the art worlds of the history that I read. And sometimes it can be not hard, but frustrating to accept that fact. Like, what even is success on online art? And you could say, well, it's making money. But for me, that doesn't sound like success in art at all. That sounds like a very skewed capitalist pipe dream of art, where the only reason you're making is to create a profit, which I do not think in the slightest should ever be the reason for any art being made. However, digital online art is intrinsically locked into this sphere of profit is how you tell the artist is successful. Think about, people losing their mind on artists like Damien Hirst, for example, which I know so many people hate, and I don't agree his art is the best. I know art is subjective, so I can't truly say, it's the worst art ever, but his art sells for so much money that you could classify him as a very, very successful artist, and that's what people do. However, for me, that's not success. That is not the end goal of art. If there was no direct audience, I would still create, because that is what I enjoy doing. And online art has very much not only limited the creative freedom you're allowed to have because of algorithms. Yes, you can post whatever you want, but that doesn't mean people will see it. And that's something I've noticed with Instagram recently, over the past few months. It's no longer an artist site, and not only on the side of, algorithm and AI, which a lot of artists are very pissed about. Meta is taking all your data that you have ever posted onto Instagram, and they can use it to train their AI. And it is very, very hard to opt out to that, which is gross. But yeah, there's so much wrong with the online digital landscape, which consequentially is the only art world that I see directly available to me. Yes, in New York, when I was there, you could have, pop-ups and stuff like that, but you're still relying at the end of the day on an audience that is garnered out of an algorithm that likes to stick to a formula. And that's something that I've struggled with, because for me, I've had a very clear goal. I don't want to say I'm a contrarian, but when I post on YouTube, when I make art, I want to look at what everyone is doing, and I say to myself, how can I do the exact opposite? And sometimes that works in my favor, sometimes it doesn't. A great example of when it doesn't is my earlier YouTube videos, where you would see all of these people in 2016, 2017, 2018 that were posting YouTube videos about fashion. And they would be screaming in your face, they would be yelling, it would be like a kid's video. Just, slime or a hot knife, as it was back then, would be replaced with fashion. And it was heavily onto the side of consumerism. And my concept in my head was like, okay, I'm going to do the exact opposite. I am going to be monotone. I am going to be almost calming, ASMR-esque. And I am first and foremost going to focus on the designer. And if I ever talk about a piece, it is in relation to a show that I have talked about. And even though some of those things I'm very proud of, it hid my personality. It made me seem like a very dull person, because I was so stuck into this idea of I must not have a personality in the sense that most of the YouTubers did, because that's not only is that not who I am, and I didn't want to be like them, but I wanted to do the opposite. I wanted it to be quote-unquote avant-garde. And it backfired. In not only the way that I think I was very boring and dull in those videos, but the algorithm hated it, especially with my thumbnails. And that's to this day as well. Just look at my past 3 thumbnails. Algorithm doesn't like it, and that's something that I'm willing to understand, but maybe not accept. On the other hand of things, what this does is criticism is very, very helpful in art. And when I've sort of isolated myself away from getting optimal exposure, let's say, on YouTube, on Instagram, I wouldn't say Instagram, on YouTube, I miss out on constructive criticism, which I know maybe most people don't actually do on YouTube, and it's more hateful comments. But from my experience, everyone is super, super nice here. And I've gotten constructive criticism in the past, mostly to how I pronounce different designers, maybe the mic I'm using. But I have actually hurt myself by trying to do my own thing, because I've limited the amount of criticism I can get, because I've limited the amount of exposure I can get, which is weird. It's this weird double-edged sword. And I guess I'm also once again contradicting myself, because I say I create to make myself happy, right? But at the same time, I want my videos to at least teach others. I want it to create a positive impact on others. And it's bizarre when that's, once again, dictated by something that I understand, and my artistic instinct automatically tells me to reject it, and in turn I'm confused when I don't get the results that I want. When it makes sense, I know why I don't get the results that I want. I'm just stubborn. And of course, this is all me just grappling with the complexity of everything. And as I said, I've studied so much of art history and fashion history, and I understand every artist has these ideas of confusion of not only the world around them, but how social capital works, how the forces to be prevent them from becoming a successful artist. And I admit it, I've fallen into that trope. I don't like thinking like that. But it's also at the same time a fun thought experiment, and I like decoding things. I like creating patterns in my mind, and maybe that's the pitfall there. That there is no pattern to this. I am trying to interpret these complexities of the art world and the digital world and the art and digital world, and I'm just one person, and maybe I'm not meant to understand all that. I guess you could say then what even is an artist anymore? There's a great photograph, and because I am sewing and my mind is not 100% focused, I will show it on this screen. And I think, and it stands in an interesting position in this day and age. I am a real artist. What is an artist nowadays? It's so, if you let's take a step back. If you were to go back in time and tell people, hey, I live in an age where people not only have the freedom, but the time to really post whatever they want, however they want, and create art, that sounds like a utopia. And so maybe it's our desire to, no matter what, find issues in a format or a system that drives me to these ideas. Maybe it's just some deep dissatisfaction where I do not agree with the not necessarily the morals, but the ways that people become a famous artist nowadays, and yet I want that for myself. So not only am I hating myself for not achieving it, but if I did achieve it, I'd still hate myself. I'm backed into a corner, which, circling back to joy in art, is the exact opposite reason of why I do this. So maybe I could place it as expectations, assumptions, pre-desired outcomes for my art before I even finish it, knowing how I want it to be perceived, when I can't choose how it's perceived. I can't choose how my videos are watched, and I can't choose how my clothing is worn. So shouldn't I just be happy that I am giving something? Did the audio stop recording? Giving something in some way to the world. And that actually really makes me happy. You know, and that, for me, is what an artist is. Especially in this modern age. An artist is someone who, despite any diversity or adversity, despite any challenge in front of them, not only comes up with a creative and unique way to overcome it, but they are able to then reflect upon that and create either an abstract, either a realist, some sort of interpretation of what they went through, how they went through it, and where they want to go going forward. That, to me, is being an artist nowadays. Especially when, once again, so many people can see your art. I found, even last night, just looking through stuff, an artist who, and they are definitely an artist, I'm calling them an artist on every level. They are an Afghan vet, and I'm not going to show their stuff here because I don't want to, you know, override anyone's privacy. Yet they interspersed on their Instagram posts of themselves back in 2007, 2008 in the Afghan war with these horrifying, absolutely bone-chilling depictions of what they saw. And that is art. Something that can sum up what... And you can see I'm struggling with words. And that's how I know when it's art. When I'm unable to explain what I want to, but I get a gut feeling, this feeling, this wave of empathy over my body, over not only the hurt that they went through, but the hurt that the others around them went through. And even if the craft isn't there, even if the proportions aren't there, even if their color theory isn't correct, or there's simple mistakes, that impact that you get, that feeling that you get when you look at this creation of pain, nothing compares to that. And that wasn't made to be sold. That was made to express. And that has been so skewed nowadays. People like that don't get attention. Outsider art is no longer a thing because of the internet. So as good as it has been, there are so many opposite, unintuitive effects to digitalized art. And then, taking it a step further, where will all this art go? I'm posting into a void. Even right now, I'm talking to a void. No one's in front of me. There's a camera. And YouTubers have said this 1,000 times. YouTubers have made this point 1,000 times. There's no one in front of me. I am talking to a void, and I am posting to a void. Where does all this go? What is the point of all this? And that's how I know that the purpose is not money. The purpose of making art and creating and expression in any medium is not money. Because it is to, once again, express. It is to try to connect on some level to someone else who had even the slightest chance of experiencing what you have or understanding what you understand and feeling that human connection. Once again, that wave of empathy between two people. And that's really what life is. And I guess I'm not actually that frustrated with how the little amount of reception that my art gets. Because that's not the goal. That's not the point. I love to create. I love to teach. I love to interact with everyone else who I can see cares so deeply about the arts and philosophies that I care about. And so thank you for watching this. And thank you for interacting with my art. And I hope you are able to create as well. And I hope you are able to express yourself in ways that are not limited by financial burdens or, this idea of creating capital through your art. Thank you. Best of luck. I've finished only one button in 24 minutes because I definitely got deep into my thought rather than the actual thing, but here we go. One button done. I still have an entire shirt to do, another vest, and I have like 3 pants to fix. So, you guys have an amazing rest of your day. I'm gonna go finish the rest of that. And as always, I already said it, have an amazing day.